So just putting my foot down here, it dropped down 3 gears instantly, and oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! It inhales the road! Hey crew, I've got the key, a BMW key, with a fancy blue and green leather sock to go over it. What an appropriate metaphor for that 23 Alpina XB7. We are going to take it for a drive, but first, let's check out how it looks on the inside and outside. Like the BMW X7, the Alpina XB7 got a facelift for 23. Most notably up front, the headlight design is different. There's a split of functions. The LED DRLs and turn signals are up top, and below are LED projector headlights. The XB7 gets a unique lower fascia with functional inlets here, and Alpina spelled out beneath. Not sure I like that. This one is painted in Marina Bay Blue Metallic. It's a gorgeous hue with lots of that metallic flake on the paint surface. And in general, I like that the XB7 comes in a variety of colors, while the other Alpina model, the B8, is only offered in Alpina Blue or Green. At the side is a set of 23-inch, 20-spoke, dark gray painted wheels. They look awesome with the Alpina crest in the center. And beyond those are blue painted performance brake calipers. The tires are Pirelli P0s, sized 285 section front and 325 at the rear. The Alpina's air suspension can adjust 2.5 inches, and when it's fully slammed, it looks kind of silly, but it is functional, allowing kids to get in easier or you to offload cargo easier. Here at the back are thin LED taillights and turn signals, above a unique lower bumper with 4 oval chrome exhaust outlets. I'm really torn on the XB7's exterior. I love the wheels, I love the color, I like the silhouette. I don't like the Alpina script in the lower front bumper. It looks chintzy to me. And the split headlight design trend is, I hope it plays out soon. My question for you, which looks better, the Alpina XB7 or the X7 M60i? Let me know in the comments, and let's check out the interior. Opening up and looking inside at this Tartufo colored merino leather interior with unique seat stitching, second row seat heating, these pillowed headrests on the optional captain's chairs. A bench seat is standard, power adjustments for these seats, and Alpina tread plates here. On the doors, there are 2 colors of leather up top, injection molding down low, nice sized door pockets, ambient lighting, and upgraded Bowers & Wilkins sound system, carbon fiber trim as standard, second row sunshades. And to get to the third row, pull on this tab and the seat will power out of your way eventually. I made it back into the third row, sitting behind this seat, which has enough knee room for me at 6 feet tall to fit behind my own driving position. And I still have knee room, in addition to good headroom. That gets the thumbs up from me. I also have my own sunroof and another zone of climate control, in addition to cup holders on either side and a USB-C port. Not too shabby. Life's good in row 2. I've got knee room, foot pocket room, thigh support, and headroom. Oh, pillows. Yeah, okay, super thumbs up for me. 4-zone climate, 2 USB-Cs, DC outlet there, 2 cup holders, and armrests. Locked and loaded. Let's check out the front. There's no need to slam the doors closed because you've got the soft close function, which is so nice. But if you want to listen to build quality, be very satisfied with that thud. Smart keyless entry is just for the front 2 doors. The front seats are heated, ventilated, and massaging. There's a power adjusting steering rack. The front doors look very similar to the back. We've got 4 one-touch windows, power adjusting and power folding door mirrors, 2 positions of memory for the driver's seat. Toggle that down to access the cargo area with a clamshell opening and a tailgate. So very useful. There is 12 cubic feet of space behind the third row. You can power fold that down. You cannot power fold down the second row. It just kind of moves a little out of the way to give you a maximum of 49 cubic feet of space. On the tailgate, we find a control to raise or lower the air suspension, and up top we find a power close and lock function. In the driver's seat, soft closing up my door. Drivers find a heated Lavalina leather-wrapped wheel with the Alpina colors stitched on the inside. Feels great in the hands. We've got a leather topper here and the Alpina crest in the center. Beyond that is the new curved display encompassing your digital gauge cluster that is reconfigurable and your widescreen infotainment system running the iDrive 8 software, which is vivid, it's responsive, it's intuitive, and it's got wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Around the screen is gloss carbon fiber, some ambient lighting. Up on the dashboard is a head-up display and stitched leather. Beneath the screen, there aren't many climate control functions, just defrosters, because everything else has been moved into the infotainment system, which I think is kind of unfortunate because it can be more distracting than a physical button. You do get the volume knob and some seek buttons. Here is more carbon fiber with an Alpina plaque. Slide that forward for a wireless charging pad, USB-A port, 2 cup holders that are heated and cooled, plus a DC outlet. You get these glass controls for the gear selector and on top of your infotainment dial. Beneath the leather-topped console is not a whole lot of storage for this size of vehicle with one USB-C port. Visibility is not great because the second row headrests align with that back window, so it creates a bigger blind spot. Thankfully, there's standard blind spot monitoring with rear cross traffic. The Alpina XB7 cabin is more opulent than an X7 with the same cutting-edge technology and just enough room for adults in all 3 rows. Now it's time to take it for a drive. All right, let's fire it up. Interesting. It was like a delay and then such a gentle rousing of the V8 motor, like the 48-volt mild hybrid system got the party started, then came in gently into the V8's room and whispered in its ear, "The guests are waiting." It's a weird metaphor, but that's just how my brain works. Thank you for joining me, cabin crew, for this drive of the 23 Alpina XB7, which I don't know why, but I always want to say it with a southern twang, like Alpina XB7, which is so far from the truth, I understand. It's just, yet again, a dark view of my brain. Drive mode, selected here. It looks like we just have 2 options, but if you click on each of those, then you see there's actually an additional layer to comfort, and there's an additional number of layers to sport. So let's begin in comfort. And why not? We'll start in the Comfort Plus setting, which is exclusive to Alpina vehicles. Then we'll click in on the gear selector, go forward into reverse. That brings up a very high-resolution backup camera system. You can see all the details on that last generation Highlander passing us. And we can also go into a 3D view and use gestures to scan around the entire vehicle exterior, which I never get perfectly right. You gotta release it. There you go. And release it. Anyway, that's a cool thing. Additionally, there's a backup assist, which will take you out of the space without you requiring input on the steering wheel along the same path you took to get into it. So if you struggle with parking, the Alpina's got you covered. Let's begin with the world-famous horn test. Oh, so dignified. I would take heed of that. And how about the turn signal sound? I like it. I feel like I've heard that before. It's like it came straight out of a BMW. Well, of course, that's because it does. And that's because the Alpina XB7 is based on the BMW X7. And in fact, I think now BMW owns Alpina outright, whereas before they had their own share in Alpina as an in-house tuner, but didn't fully own them. Now, unlike the BMW X7, even though the X7 M60i shares its 4.4-liter twin-turbo V8 and 48-volt mild hybrid system with the XB7, this one makes a whole lot more power. It makes 13 more horsepower than the 22 model year XB7 and 103 more horsepower than the X7 M60i, bringing the total to 630 horses and an additional 37 more pound-feet than the M60i, so 590 pound-feet of torque. I don't have to tell you that's a lot. and routed through this 8-speed automatic gearbox and sent to all 4 tires, with peak torque coming in very early on, 1800 RPM. Even in Comfort Plus, even with the relaxed throttle response we have here, there's so much grunt and it comes in so down low that your throttle inputs don't have to be aggressive to get you moving, bringing you up to speed. I do like the Comfort Plus way that it delivers that power, gently but forcefully. And the 8-speed auto is fantastic here. You don't even notice the gear changes. The number of nice cars we're about to see, by the way, is going to be wild. So many different car shows down here. The fog layer was real bad 30 minutes ago. It's starting to clear, but we can't really see the ocean right there. There's a little bit of it. Oh, man, this is so good. The seats are superbly plush. Lots of adjustability. I can bring in the bolsters to hug me snugly. But the padding is supple. Visibility out the front and these front side windows is great. I mentioned the little blind spot out the back, but you have a dominant seating position. And I can put on a massage at any point in time just to enhance the relaxation. Let's see about this turning radius now. So, wheel is cranked. And that is a phenomenal turning radius. This is a 3-row SUV. To pivot around like that, you need the rear axle steering system, which, of course, the Alpina XB7 has. It also, unlike the standard X7 M60i, has an air suspension with adaptive dampers that makes the ride so pillowy. Over road imperfections, you just sort of float. And on 23-inch wheels with lower profile tires, it's especially impressive how good the ride is here. Like some other air suspensions, you hear the bumps when it's like a lane marker or a pothole, but the bruising that can happen with steel springs just isn't really a factor here. It's easy to modulate the brake pedal, come up to a smooth stop. V8, even in Comfort Plus, will make itself known. But I want to hear and feel more of it. Let's do a real-world 0 to 60 test next. For that, I've got my race box set up over here because I wasn't getting any reception over there. And I'm going to move us into the Sport Plus drive mode. And I've got the gear selector already over into the Sport transmission. Traction control, that's going to go off. And then I'm going to brake boost it off the line here. Launch control's active. Whoa! Oh my goodness. 3.9 seconds to 60 in a 3-row. Just a casual sub 4-second run to 60 with nearly 6,000 pounds of weight, seating for 6. Oh, and on a slight uphill to start, so it could be quicker than 3.9. Come on, how do you reconcile that? While I attempt to, I'm going to try out the mid-range. So just putting my foot down here, it dropped down 3 gears instantly, and oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! It inhales the road. It absolutely just terrorizes it. My gosh. Darn it. Wow. Yeah, it's very fast. I'm going to try out manual mode now with the dinky buttons on the back of the wheel. No paddles. I understand trying to be different, but buttons? Shifts are quick. like real quick, but I don't like using buttons. Give me a paddle. There's no forgiveness with a button. If you miss it, you miss the gear. I guess it matches the character of the XB7's ride, but not the straight line performance. The straight line says, give me paddles. Holy cow. Every time I do that, I'm more astonished. It's so fast. Yeah. I don't know what I expected. It wasn't this. Definitely wasn't this. Now, while in a discovery state of mind, I feel it prudent to explore the XB7's braking and handling. So all the same values there with sport and traction off, stability on. I'm going to carry some speed into this curve before I clamp down hard on the brakes and chuck it in. What a response from the pedal and the stopping force. Oh, it's stable. It is pushing the nose. Rear wheel steering system trying to fix it. And the E limited slip differential at the back, shuttling that power to the outside tire to slingshot us out of the curve. Let's go back for seconds. Okay, I have thoughts. I have quite a few thoughts. The one thing that stands out above everything else is how good these brakes are. When I hit full ABS on that first corner, I had no expectation. I gave us quite a bit of margin. I had no expectation we would stop nearly as short of a distance, and it would give me nearly as much confidence as it gave me from the feel of that pedal. That was wonderful, and I would argue probably the most critical thing in a big, very powerful and heavy SUV such as this one is having great brakes. You've got them here. The stability and flatness through the corner was impressive. The vehicle did not lean all that much. You were still very aware of the higher center of gravity, perhaps the top heaviness there, but it didn't sort of rock itself, yaw itself too much over to one side as we were taking that corner. The steering feel was not exceptional. I didn't get a lot of feedback through the wheel. The weight resistance and the buildup as I was turning the wheel wasn't really transparent, such that I was only aware of the fact that we were understeering by visuals, not based on the feedback through the steering. And as a driver, it's those kind of bits of communication that you really long for and that inspire you to push the vehicle further. So that could be improved, but the power out of the corner and the braking force are just so tremendous. Just reminding myself of what I'm driving and the 2 additional rows I have behind me. This is a feat. It's remarkable. Now let's lower our pulse for just a moment. I'll take it out of Sport Plus, go into the standard comfort setting, and I'll also activate the adaptive cruise control with steering assistance. And we can see how this works on a curve. It's not really a full hands-free system like the latest and greatest from the BMW i7 and 7 series, but it does stay in the center of the lane, and it also has a lane change function. So when it spots an opening, it'll move over for you in both directions. Really handy features to have on a longer road trip, which the XB7 is just suited so well to, because as I'm now going to quiet up and show, the NVH level is really low. So here we go. So nice and quiet. At highway speeds, the wind, tire, and road noise are all contained. They're all filtered sufficiently so that your family can carry on a conversation without needing to raise anyone's voice too much, even into the third row. Or you could commute in comfort. And that's going to lead into my miles per hour word of the day, which for the 23 Alpina XB7 is fluent. And I'm not talking about linguistics here. I'm talking about with minimal difficulty or even effort, because the Alpina XB7 does just about everything so easily. It'll rip to 60 in a sports car quick at 3.9 seconds. It'll take a curve with confidence, and it'll cover any distance with tranquility. We are going to get into competition momentarily, but first let's review the top speed and fuel economy. Top speed in the Alpina XB7 is 180 miles per hour. Just think about that for a second. That makes the XB7 the fastest production 3-row SUV you can buy. It shares that title with one other vehicle that we'll talk about in just a sec, the Durango Hellcat. But 180 with 6 or 7 passengers, depending on your seating configuration. Come on! The fuel economy is 16 mpg in the city, 20 on the highway, and 17 combined. The starting price for the Alpina XB7, which is largely a fully loaded proposition, is $146,000, and this one has tested with just the speaker system and the captain's chairs is $150,000. Now for the competition, and I've got 4 in mind. I'll start with the 2 that I've already mentioned. The BMW X7 M60i starts at $104,000. It makes 523 horsepower, gets to 60 in 4.3 seconds, and has fuel economy of 18 combined, one more than this. I also didn't do my math properly earlier. This makes 107 horsepower more than that, not 103. The Dodge Durango SRT Hellcat is not a luxury vehicle, though it has some nicer stuff in it. It starts at $93,000, makes 710 horsepower, gets to 60 in 3.5 seconds. I already mentioned it has the same top speed as this at 180 miles per hour and fuel economy of just 13 combined. We've also got the Cadillac Escalade V that starts at $153,000. It makes 682 horsepower, gets to 60 in 4.5 seconds, and has fuel economy of 14 combined. And finally, the Land Rover Range Rover Autobiography, which starts at $159,000. It makes 523 horsepower with the same engine as this, and sharing that output with the X7 M60i, it gets to 60 in 4.9 seconds and has a, who cares about the top speed? I think it's 155 limited. The fuel economy is 18 combined, just like that X7. Now, as I've been doing this review, I occasionally will look down and realize I'm going way quicker than I thought it was. Because it's so quiet, because it's so comfortable in here, you cover ground hastily. So you have to pay attention to that, or just lock it in cruise control. The competitors all offer a different flavor of family 3-row practicality. The Dodge Durango Hellcat has some luxury touches, not nearly the same cabin quietness, not nearly the same ride comfort, and definitely not the panache of style as the XB7 or even the Escalade V, or of course that Land Rover Range Rover. But it is a lot of fun, and it does make the most power in this segment. The Escalade V is along the same lines. It's a little more luxurious, has a bit more gravitas to the design, definitely has the most space. It's a body-on-frame SUV, so it can really tow a lot. It just doesn't have the same good ride quality as the Range Rover or as this. And that Range Rover SV Autobiography, it is, well, it's definitely the most stylish, the most star-studded of these 3-row SUVs, now offering a 3-row for this new generation. And I think that the technology is right there with the Alpina XB7. That and this could go back and forth from a luxury and certain caliber of SUV comparison, but from a performance one, this will just embarrass that vehicle. The Alpina XB7, I've actually driven before. I drove the pre-facelifted version, but I think because I've driven each of its competitors more recently, I just forgot how good this vehicle is at everything. And while it may not be the vehicle I would choose just because I'm a child and I like the fireworks of the Cadillac Escalade V, and the space and even the styling better than this. I mean, it says Alpina in the lower grille, which doesn't look all that great, and it's got buttons for shift paddles, but it's not for any lack of merit on the XB7's behalf. This is a phenomenal SUV, and I want to make this very clear, it's worth every penny of the $41,000 or $42,000 it costs more than the X7 M60i. And you might be like, oh, where do you justify that? If you actually option up an X7 M60i to be comparable, to the extent that it's possible, with the features of the Alpina, the price delta really shrinks. It should be something like $15,000 of difference, and that easily is made up by the additional performance, and it's easily made up by the additional ride comfort and quietness. It's worth the price over an X7, and then there's the exclusivity on top of that. Which would you guys choose? Would you have the Escalade V like me? Would you have the Alpina XB7 like me if I was just a little fancier? Would you have the Land Rover Range Rover Autobiography like me if I was a lot fancier and didn't care about performance? Or would you have the Dodge Durango Hellcat like me if I didn't care about comfort really much at all? Let me know in the comments. And I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and share it if you did. And subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell to get notified. I will see you again next time. Wow.